So, welcome to the Who Am I podcast, episode 3. Firstly, I want to say thank you to our sponsors, DBF Clothing, a new sporting brand that offers fitness wear, gym wear, and personalised apparel. They can be followed on Instagram at DBF Clothing, but they've got their new website launching on the 5th of September, so please give them a follow. So, I'm joined by Paul Garrigan, and today we have a really special guest. Definitely an episode I am super excited, and I want so many parents out there to really give this episode a watch. If you're a parent of a young footballer with a dream of becoming that next big thing, or just a parent of somebody that is involved in elite sports, this is a really important episode today because we're going to be talking about the impact of trying to live and create your dreams and become an elite sports person. So I want to welcome Tony Robinson, who is a mentor and works with young footballers and has done this for over 15 years now. And he's lived on both sides as well. So he's not only supported young footballers in making their dreams come true, he's been able to support his son in actually making that become a reality. He's the father of Premier League footballer Anthony Robinson, who is the left back at Fulham. So, yeah, welcome. Welcome,
Thank
Tony.
you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, do you want to give a little bit more about what it is that you do, if I've not explained it?
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff, actually. You could think of me as a football services provider. And in the very highest level, someone has a problem. And somebody says, oh, you should go and contact Tony Robinson. And through my network that was been built up with my many different guises in the game, I've been coach, player, agent, and now really just focusing on pathways for young footballers, male and female, all around the world, really. So I can get people scholarships to the USA. I can bring people into really good football and education programs here, like Steven Gerrard Academy, plug. I also have some projects which are to do with helping Bermudians coming over here. They have a UK passport, so it's a big opportunity, very small island, for the youngsters to get out of an environment that's ever growing in crime. And I do my coaching every now and again, to stay healthy, but doing a lot less of that at the moment because I'm really focusing in on trying to help a friend of mine make a big impact in the culture of soccer in America. So we're looking at can we educate a huge population in the States and Canada about there's a different world out there other than the top college programs.
Yeah.
Just like our culture here is I want to play in the Premier League. Their culture is I want to go to a top college. So we're just trying to show them it's a big world out there and there's alternatives. But what I enjoy more than anything is helping that lost young player, whether they've been released, whether they've come and hit a brick wall in their journey, just helping them and seeing them make something of themselves. Only a tiny few get to the level Anthony's got to.
Yeah.
But everyone can be a success through football. That's kind of my mantra, really, that everyone can become a success.
So let's talk about like the harsh reality then of football, because it's like 99.99% that people fail. Our players fail to get there. Yeah. I remember when Aidan, our son was a young boy. I remember him being 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Getting picked up, about 5 clubs coming after him. Yeah. Going to Man United, going to Man City, going to Everton, going to Liverpool, going to Blackburn, going to Burnley, going to all these different clubs. And I remember, like, I always say the story of when he got picked up for Liverpool, and it was like my dream had come true. thinking that I had the next Steven Gerrard going to sleep and he's only 6 years old. And he then carries the weight of that burden, if you like, on his shoulders at such a young age, and the pressures that are then placed upon a child's shoulders going through this whole journey. If I knew then what I know now, I'm not sure, you know, I definitely wouldn't have done it the same, and I'm not sure I'd have carried on the journey. If I knew how difficult it would be, not only for him as a young man, but also for the whole family, because it's a big commitment when your kid gets signed up to go into an elite sports club, isn't it? And with such a big fail rate, you know, what's going on, do you think, in the system for it to be such a big fail rate happening?
I think that's a misconception, that something's wrong with the system, and this fail rate is a result of it. You have to look at it that, well, if you were able to just freeze football around the globe, there is a finite set of football clubs at that pro level. It's a finite number. So we have X billion people on the planet, and we have a very small number of pro football clubs in comparison. So it doesn't matter whether the system's right, wrong, whatever. It's a finite thing with a huge pipeline trying to get those places. And so you have to have, I call it the formula for success. And everywhere I go, I talk about this. And you've been in elite sports, Carly. You work in elite. It's a formula. It's the simplest formula. But it's so simple, it goes over everyone's head. And people focus on all these other things that are going on around them. And they don't realize, no. You have to stick to this formula, and you have to follow that 24/7, 365. And I truly believe this. Rather than worrying about, it's this percentage and all of this, you should just say, yes, but I can have whatever I want. If I'm willing to do what it takes, what is there out there to stop me? It's usually yourself. Or, I will say this, it can be parents. It can be parents. It takes a very, very special kid to ignore his parents or her parents. So that can happen. But most of the time, that individual has to look at themselves. Am I following this formula? And am I doing it no matter what happens?
I think then listening to that, like, parents do come into that massively, because
they do, because they raise you. They raise you, and no one should underestimate how you're raised is going to have a massive part on your character, the person you are. Now, sometimes that isn't a direct impact. You can be, let's say you're a very strict mother and father, and you got to be in at 10, and but that doesn't mean the child won't rebel and try something, stay out till 11. So you can be influenced by people outside there, but your biggest influence is your parents and your immediate family. And a lot of parents, you said something very interesting when you said that was my dream. Okay. I can sit in front of the world and say, I never thought like that with Anthony. Never thought like that at all. All I thought with Anthony was, if you go out there, you give everything, because that's how I live my life. And if you want my time to support you doing this, the only thing I want is you give it your all the time. And we know you can't do it all the time. You have bad days, you're not well, slight injuries thing. But your mind can be attempting to do that. And so the only pressure that he ever had, I was never walking around going, and I want you to be a pro and all this. It was just that's not good enough. If you want to be something in this life, you have to learn to give everything every day. And I've got 4 children. They've all been through it. All of them have been through it. They're all different. But I think the number one thing I would really, really stress is whatever the system that people think's broken, how is it different than the guy trying to become a CEO of a company? How is it different from the guy trying to become the head of the hospital? How's it different from the girl trying to become a pop star? It's no different. It's all of those odds are the same, but it's that individual. And to me, a parent's job isn't to say this is my dream and this is what I want. That's not their job. Their job is you have to be there on time. Yeah. Okay, you've had a bad time. Let's make sure you don't dwell on it. You know, when you get to decision points, big decision points, make sure that you're doing things objectively, not subjectively. You know, what are the facts? What are we basing our decisions on? And keeping the youngster feet on the ground. Because think about the world we're in today now. I remember many times walking into Everton's academy and seeing tiny little kids, 5, 6 years old, parents behind them walking around like we're it. And you're like, this is more than a marathon. This is the Odyssey. This is Odysseus. You know, this is grueling beyond grueling.
Yeah.
To get to where you want to get to. So I think you had a good question there. I personally don't focus on whatever the constraints, limitations, all that are. Don't focus on that at all. I focus on what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I suppose with that, if you focus on what's wrong with the system or what's wrong with something outside of yourself, that like gives us room for excuses. And obviously when we're then dropping into that world of excuses, we drop into that victim mentality. So we're not being the successor of our life and the creator of our life. Yeah. We are then empowering other people to hold the cards of where we're gonna go. But I think I mentioned about, you know, your thoughts on the parents, because when Aidan started playing football at 6, you do see like a lot of people that have definitely they've way left the ground, they're floating in the sky. Yeah. They think that it's already done. And I remember when he signed for Liverpool when he was under 9s, and it was a big eye-opener of how, you know, I think we'd obviously seen it for a couple of years before he'd signed a contract. We'd learned a couple of lessons ourselves, and we got to that stage of being an under 9s. And when we were around a lot of parents, there was actually a conversation where a parent didn't really want to engage with us because, you know, we were competition. Our son was competition with theirs. Yeah. They only had a relation with the goalkeeper and his family. Really interesting. So many parents had like completely left the ground. And again, that puts so much pressure on a child's shoulders. Now, although it's a child's responsibility, the person's responsibility to make their life and dreams come true at 9, 7, 8 and 9, that's really hard. So being able to support your child to stay humble and grounded is so important.
I'll be honest with you and tell you that through Anthony's journey in the youth system of Everton, I deliberately, my wife and I, we deliberately decided to keep to ourselves. Now, it wasn't because we were competing with anybody, but in this world we live in now, the problems that you get is emotion. So when everyone's great when everything's fine. But as soon as anything's going to go wrong, emotions come into play. And people can either control themselves when they're emotional or they can't. And you get scenarios and situations where somebody says something. Now, I can't control what you're going to say to that guy when you're emotional. I can try and control what I say. And so I'll give you an example, Paul. If I'm talking to you and I go, you know, that coach, he should do this. And then you are falling out with this coach now. And you go, well, even Tony thinks you should do that. Well, I've just put Anthony in trouble now.
Yeah.
So we just made this conscious decision that's like, I don't care about, sounds ruthless. I don't care about their child, and I don't want them worrying about mine. And once we made that decision, it was a big decision, because you could say we did kind of ostracize ourselves, but we weren't rude to anybody. If someone said hello to us, we said hello to them. But you know, you have to think about it's not even different than in the workplace. You go slagging off your boss, and that person goes and tells your boss you slagged them off. Now you haven't got a job. So we decided that this is about him, not us. That was the biggest thing. It's him. It's his life. It's his chance. It's his opportunity. It's not ours. I had my chance. And I think if parents realize, because they're not bad people, or 99% of the parents are very good people, but they just don't know what they don't know. And they don't understand the arena that they're in. And you can make mistakes because you're dealing with personalities and individuals, and everyone has got an opinion.
Yeah. I think that's why when I introduced it as well, there was a little bit of a plea out there to parents, please listen, because we have seen along the journey.
And our own mistakes as well.
Yeah.
Like, we've made that big mistakes ourselves along the way, haven't we?
Yeah.
But we see it so much. Like, we've probably always tried when we go to clubs to keep ourselves to an element, to not get involved in all the gossiping that can go on between him and her and whatever's going on.
Yeah.
But
can I ask you something? I'll interrupt you. Do you know if you could go back in time now and you knew everything that you knew now, and when they first came for Aidan and he was tiny, you know, would you have said, I just want him to play with his mates. I just want him to be happy? Because I held off the academies until I couldn't hold them off anymore. I have a very good friend right now. His son is tremendous. You could tell he was going to be something the minute he started kicking a ball. And he came to me and he said, Tony, I know that you didn't rush to get in the academy. He says, all of them are and I said, wait until you just can't refuse them anymore. Because academies, think of the business they're in. They're not in the business of, okay, we've got all these 6-year-olds. That's not the business they're in. They're in the business of, is that 18-year-old ready? If they come and get you at 15, you've got a better chance than if they got you at 6. Right? So you have this, it's like a impulse, you know, oh, we got to get in there now. Well, you don't, because everybody develops at different rates and speeds. And the most important thing is the mentality of that child when they go. And when you get to these big decision points, are you mentally ready for all of that? And that mentality gets defined from the parenting and the actions and behaviors all along the way. So you've heard of the superstar youngster. Everything's always being done for them, being given to them. You know, they've never had to really fight for anything. And then suddenly along comes this other guy and they can't cope with it.
Yeah.
Right? And that other guy's come from somewhere where he had nothing and he's hungry and he'll fight. So if parents can realize that the machine of this system that's been built isn't about, oh, you've got to get in there, how often do you hear them go, "Oh, it's getting too late. It's
Parents do
time's
feel like
running out."
It's a privilege, so we snap it while we can.
Yeah.
And it, like you said, I don't feel the same way answering that question you just asked.
Yeah.
I would absolutely change
I've
so
sent
much.
boys in for trials in under 23s.
Yeah.
So you will agree with me. Players still get signed out of non-league.
And the non-league standard's very good,
right?
By the way,
but I'm going to plug non-league. I'm a big believer in non-league.
Yeah,
it's got it's got its problems, but if a young lad can navigate through non-league, he's prepared. He's ready for it. So you've got to take the pressure off and let them enjoy their football. That's the biggest thing. It's the most important thing, and focus on them learning to control their destiny. That's all I would say.
Yeah. So can I ask a question then? Because it makes me think of my own boxing sometimes as well, like contracts and being tied up and locked, if you want to say. For these parents who do feel like, I just want to, if they're not willing to wait, because there is that urgency, there is that fear that if we say no now, it won't come. I feel like parents, especially like when we very first signed, you're not really told the details of a contract. So when you allow your child to sign a contract, you're under the impression that, you've got a 2-year contract now. So we will look after you for 2 years. But you don't also get told, but you can't go anywhere else and you can't do this.
You can't
and
leave
we
at the
can
end
actually
of 2 years.
release you in 6 months' time. Like, you're not told all of these things. So I'm just curious on your thoughts on the whole contract situation at a young age.
It's funny because I personally don't like that they in youth sport they call it a contract. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Your mortgage is a contract, the car loan you took out's a contract. But I do agree with you. I think the problem is if people aren't used to, in their everyday life, scrutinizing something that they're going to sign, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people just and they're done. But if you don't scrutinize it, you're actually, it's almost in a way you're inviting problems. So earlier I said to you, the key decision points, the key times, the moments when you're making these decisions, that's when you have to really be paying attention and focusing on what you're doing. A lot of parents don't know, for example, that once you sign with that club, if you want to leave, you can't just leave.
Yeah.
Now, if it gets to the point where you're like, well, we're leaving, he's not happy here, we're leaving, the club can go, okay, that's okay. You leave. And as soon as the next club comes that wants your player, oh, you have to give us compensation. And the longer you're at that club, is the more compensation they get. And nobody tells you that. Okay. So you're right. And then the other problem is agents. So all of a sudden you're 12, 13 years old and agents are coming and promising the world and want to sign you up, and have to remember that they work on a fishnet mentality. So they will grab as many as they can. And now they're just waiting to see who are those tiny ones who come through. And they're not mentoring the players either, most of them. So you've got to look at this as, well, if I was buying a house, I'd read every line of that thing, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But you're giving someone, you're giving them your child in your life, and you're not reading it all and you're not asking any questions. So I think everyone would judge what I would think about that.
Yeah, because you can definitely get entangled. We've experienced that entanglement, haven't we?
Yeah. Because you can't, am I right in saying that if you signed at 9, you can't leave? If they keep offering you a contract,
can't
all the way up
leave.
to 18.
Yeah, you can't just leave.
Even if they offered you a scholarship and you refused the scholarship, you would then have to pay compensation for the 6 years and you couldn't go to another club.
And here's another thing that parents don't understand, because I've had parents who have said to me, I don't understand why the club's behaving like that. I can pay them. Well, FIFA won't let you do that. So the club that wants you has to pay the compensation, and that can block you from going to clubs because, well, why should we pay to get somebody that good? Let's just go and find somebody that good and get them for free.
Yeah.
So it is. But it's a business, and it's the same all around the world, by the way.
That's what I was going to say then. I think, so listening to your question, when Paul asked you, do you feel like there's a problem in the academy system, and you put it more on the individual and parents, do you feel people maybe need to start to be real and say, we're going into a business? We're in the world of business. We're actually putting our children into the line of business. So rather than like telling them how to become a footballer, being more real in that you are putting them into a big fish of like thousands and thousands of players. And it's just becoming more wiser to like what you're signing and doing your own research of like, are we making the right decision? Are we rushing? Because it's business.
So something I tell a lot of parents, try to completely get out of this bigger is better thing. Okay. Liverpool want my kid. City want my kid, right? Your kid might be better at Wigan, right? So that's one rule. Bigger is not always better, okay? Yes, they've got the best of everything, right? But are you in the right place at the right time with the right people? That's number one. Secondly, it's one of it. It might be the most ruthless business on the planet. Okay, just think about this, right? You can get to a point you become a Premier League player. You're in an environment where the revenues and figures and monies are billions, right? Now, we all know what business is like when it comes to billions. If Musk can fall out with Trump, and he's the richest man on the planet. So it's a business. You're a number. If you want to walk around thinking you're it, good luck to you. You need to keep your feet on the ground. You need to be aware of what's going on around you. And you need to realize you haven't made it until you've made it.
And is there a way then of do you think getting your kids to that level without being hard on them and without losing? Because for me, going on my own journey, and you see it every time you go to watch an academy game or every time you go to watch grassroots football, you see kids sometimes crying. You see dads losing the temper, screaming at the kids. And my relationship, say, at times with Aidan, has been heavily strained because I can see his potential and I can see the things he's doing wrong, but that can really damage our relationship sometimes because of my willingness to want to, like, we spoke before we come on, to want to shake him sometimes, to go and grasp every opportunity that life has got in front of him. How do we get kids to that level without losing your relationship, but equally being hard on them, if that makes sense? Because we're trying to get them ready for the world of business, if you like, and work at a very tender age sometimes.
So I'd like to tell you a quick story, okay? This is a true story. So I think Anthony at the time was an under 14 at Everton. And Anthony was always a really good kid, never got in any trouble, nothing. And I get this phone call from my oldest son, Dad, just need you to calm down. I go, calm down. I'm not angry. What's this is Anthony's in the police station. You need to calm down because he knows me, you see. So I said, okay, I'm calm. What's happened? I don't really know what's happened. He's been messing around in town with his mates. I said, okay. So I go down to the police station, and as I'm walking in, the sergeant he's waiting for me, and he goes, "Have you calmed down?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, follow me this way." Takes me in this room. He says, "Listen, it's all on film. That your lad was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's all. He's not done anything. We just want him to know he can't mess around like that." I go, "Oh, really?" Get Anthony, and it takes me to the room, and the guys, just before we left the door, I said to the guy, "You can't keep him here overnight." And he looked at me and he went, "What?" I said, "Well, I want to teach him a lesson." And he said, "Oh, Mr. Robinson, he's a minor, you know. If he was older, we..." And I went, okay. He gets in the car. I don't say a word to him. Not a word. So Anthony knows this is serious because he's not talking. We get home. He goes up to his room. I leave him for an hour or so. I go up, just pack all your Everton stuff. So he's looking at me like, what's going on here? Just pack it all. Next morning, I take the bag, go into Finch Farm, and the head of education, "Can I see him, please?" Because he's responsible for the welfare. So I go and I said, "That's it, he's done here." And he goes, "What's happened?" They're in town messing around, broken elevator. I don't care. They said it wasn't him. He was with the... Tony, calm down. Anthony's not a bad lad. And so all this time, I've not screamed at Anthony. I've not done anything. But I've gone in, I've said, "That's it. Put the bag on the desk." I said, "I don't care what you lot are saying. He doesn't deserve to be in a place like this if that's how he wants to live his life." Get in the car, drive home. I get a phone call. "Right, I've thought about this. What we'll do is I'll give Anthony a call tomorrow and we'll make it look like we've kicked him out of the academy." And I said, "For how long?" And he goes, 4 weeks should be enough." I said, "Okay, sounds good to me." So he phones Anthony the next day and he says, "I'm really sorry, you know, your dad's told us what's happened and we can't have this at Everton Football Club." That's it. Now, Anthony, being Anthony, mentally here, he's not going to show me any weakness. That's how he was as a child. Remember, I said you give everything, and so he'd built up this strong character anyway. So he's not going to. So Anthony's walking around like, "I don't care." And 4 weeks passes, and I'm going, "He's not cracking." And Everton are phoning, "Yeah, is he going to be back on Monday?" And I'm like, "Well, he's not come and said he's sorry or anything." So this little game was going on, and then finally, Mike Dickinson said, "Tony, enough's enough now. You know, I'm absolutely sure he's learned his lesson. I know the boy, didn't I?" And so I sit him down, and I go, Make this clear in your mind, young man. You don't have a right to be in Everton Football's academy. It's a privilege. It's no different than if I decide to buy you the best Xbox on the market. You don't have a right to it. Someone's decided to give it you. And once you've been given, you have a responsibility. And after that talk, he never had another incident, even to today. So all I will say, Paul, is, if you find yourself in these situations where there's stress, that's telling you, that's your warning sign. So you're going about this wrong. It's not supposed to be like this. And Carly, when you told me last night, that is the most important thing. Okay, you say you want to be a footballer, I'll let you sort it out.
Yeah.
You show me you want it. So I'm mentoring a young lad right now, gifted beyond what I could describe. And he's in an academy, but there's pressure with him and his dad. And his dad admits it, right? And he said the same as you, Paul. And he said, I'm in the car and I'm driving. And I go, have you actually sat him down and said, do you really want this? Well, come to think of it, I said, well, you sit him down and you say, if you really want this, and I tell you I'm not going to take you to the academy tomorrow, you're going to find yourself there. Because think about when we were young. We didn't think anything of jumping on a bus or a train or ringing someone saying, can you give me a lift? But today you've got entitlement, everyone's expecting everything to be given to them. So instead of this stress and tension and everything, look at the warning signs and then be brave enough as a parent to say, are they doing this because I want them to do it? Or are they doing it because they want to do it? Because if they're doing it because they want to do it, you won't have rows. You just have to tell them once or twice and it's done. So that is a hard thing for parents. It's very hard because they don't want to hear, no, I don't want to do that. Because you're looking at someone with a gift, with a talent. And, all I can tell you is my youngest daughter, she was artistic, good at music, singing, writing songs, all this. She's doing a chemistry degree because that's what she wants to do. And I was going, no, you should go to LIPA. No, I wanted to do chemistry. I said, okay, it's your life. So if you find yourself constantly at each other, and that's telling you, in any other walk of life, because football brings out emotions in people that no other sport does. It's why it's the world sport, I guess. And we kind of lose focus. We're like, what? Why is this going on? But if you can just step back and say, this shouldn't be going on. This isn't right. This isn't normal, So that young lad I was telling you about, his dad, and I really like his dad. I really do, because he's learning himself and he's starting to look at himself. And I've said to him, I said, great, he's doing fantastic and he's training with these guys and he's turning it. I said, but every time I go and watch him, I don't see it. I said, the next time I come round to your house, I'm going to ask him point blank, do you really want this? And if you don't, that's okay. That's okay. Go and do the thing you want to do and let everyone else off the hook. Because as you said, it's a commitment of the family. And by the way, the other guy I was telling you about who came to me and said, what should we do? Because they're all coming, His number one thing was, having seen what you went through with Anthony, I know the commitment of the family. Right? So we didn't have a family holiday for 11 years. It was, we made that commitment. We said, right, whatever he needs from them, that comes first. So he knows that you're committing your life really to this thing. And I said, is your son happy now? He said, happiest kid in the world. I said, why do you want to change that?
Yeah. And it is the biggest commitment that people just do not realise. It takes, the travelling, the passion ships of like, because one's going with one and one goes with the other child because you've got other children, other commitments, and
the emotional roller coaster of it all as well, isn't it?
Yes, isn't it?
And do you know something that parents are unaware of? Human nature, right? Sibling rivalries. So hang on a minute, why is she getting all the attention? Don't they care what I'm doing? So it takes over the family, and it does the higher up you go. So, a category 3 academy ain't the same as a category 1 in terms of demands on your life and the family. But as you said, Paul, I've gone off a bit, but if you find that you're having to constantly be at that child, that they don't want it enough. And the sooner everybody realizes it and accepts it, then harmony can be brought back. But it is okay sometimes to not be happy with how they're behaving. It is okay to get angry sometimes. I used to get angry with Anthony if I saw he wasn't giving 100%, because that's how I am in life. I come from poverty, and you get to a point in life where you want your kids to have more than you, and all good parents want that. And so my rules were just, I know if you work hard every day, if you really work hard, you give everything, you'll be okay in life. And so I had demanded in the classroom, anything that they said they wanted to do, you got to give 100%. And so I would get angry if I didn't see that. But it didn't happen very often. And if it was happening all the time, I know me, I know what I'm like. I would have just said, I'm done with you. You can sort yourself out.
So can I ask you a question then on what your thoughts are? We're in very new times now. A lot of people will call like the children of this generation like the next gen.
Yeah.
And I personally...
Or are they Gen Z? Which one are they?
There's different ones.
I've never had no nicknames
ages,
for my generation.
Yeah, there's a couple of different ages. And so we both like boxing coaches. So I'm around like boxers a lot. And I just see a very different way of attitude to life than like the same as us.
Yeah.
We come from, more, we've had to work to get what we wanted in life. And we say it sometimes, don't we, we work in schools as well. So some of these young people we work with, even when we say it today, then it triggers them. Yeah. Some, we just cut from different cloths. And I feel that's very true. I feel like something's very different. And listening to your story then, you were saying about this entitlement. Kids now do feel entitled, and maybe because some of our generation might have had less or have been through maybe, more things in life that we've overgiven now to make up for what we didn't. And maybe we've caused that, maybe caused issues ourselves for overgiving. But that state of entitlement, and then maybe that lack of like willingness, because we do feel quite entitled, and we can become a little bit like, well, I'm here, and I'm
like a
flying.
Lack of resilience, you mean, in kids as well?
Not resilience, no, just a bit of an arrogance in a way, because I see a lot of young footballers. I think I'm at the top club, and the club loves me, and I am entitled, and my mum and dad blow smoke up my ass and tell me I'm going to be this next superstar. Yeah. So do you think that maybe the numbers that we see that don't make it, because maybe bringing it back to resilience then, that they get to 16 scholarship age or 18 looking at getting a professional contract, maybe the numbers are quite slim because of this attitude that many people have, would you say?
If I was to say to you that I think what changes in time are the reasons. What doesn't change is the amount that make it or don't make it.
Yeah.
So it's the reason. So go back 50 years and maybe lots of lads didn't or girls didn't make it because nobody had a car. I can't get them there.
Yeah.
Right? You roll forward in time now and you go, we have a problem as a society with the general health of a child. It's not like, I'm born in the 60s, so we had to walk everywhere. And when it was cold, we ran. Okay, so I'm healthy. I'm just naturally healthy. Now you put me in this sporting environment and I can optimize that health quite quickly. And now you got, and I'm defending parents again on this one. You got this thing called the internet telling you kids been abducted, this has happened, that's happened, that. And parents are afraid. So I'm dropping my child off. Okay? So now you've got this gadget that they're always playing with. And you've got, I can talk to my friends. I don't have to go around their house. Think about that. I mean, my best friend used to live like 2 miles away. So I used to walk to his house. Now, hey, Zoom, and I've had me 2 hours talking to you and that's it. So now I'm not as healthy as that kid 30 years ago. And to get to that, you've done elite sport, you know how hard it is to train.
Yeah.
And the demands on sports science and training today are 100 times more than back then. So now here's this kid that's not naturally conditioned. They're probably working 10 times harder than their predecessors. They probably have to be more disciplined 10 times more than their predecessors. So all of these factors are the reasons why.
Yeah.
But the actual 1%, less than 1% making it, that never changes. And so people have to be conscious of. I was reading the other day about this I can't remember the name. It was a famous person. They made their grandchildren go on runs. Every time they had their grandchildren around, they said, "Come on, we're going for a run." And they were doing it because they were like, these kids never walk anywhere, So you've got to look at as you said, Carly, it's a different world. And there's one thing that's always been bugging me. It's like, why did Alex Ferguson retire right when they won the title? I just don't think he was the kind of guy to just go, I want to go out on a high. I think he saw the future. I think he saw it's a new world now. It's a different world. My methods ain't going to work with these guys. And it's a different generation, as you said, Gen X, Gen Z, whatever we want to call them. They're more fragile. And that's why this work is much harder now than it was then. But it still has to be done.
So on sort of that note then, when we're looking at mental health in young players and mental health of when they come out of the academy system, maybe like with most people not getting to where they want to get to, what should parents be doing? What should young children be doing? But for me, what lies with the clubs to be make sure that child has a good academy journey, because we've been around numerous clubs. It doesn't seem like a lot of coaches have got emotional understanding of how to deal with some kids or the mental health side of the game. It's very performance focused. So it's very like old school in our way, in my way of understanding, like boxing coach mentality. Like we want to see the best, you've got to put the effort in.
Yeah.
But there's maybe sometimes a lack of emotional attunement, sometimes of what's going on with kids. Given the fact that they're probably in their care maybe 3-4 times a week for 2 hours. Obviously, it doesn't fall fully on the clubs, but for me, there seems to be something missing. Sometimes that's similar to like in the workplace. Do you have like a mental health first aid course? It can seem like a tick in the box. Yeah. It's not worth the paper it's written on because it doesn't really help. It's just giving people education, but that doesn't give people the tools to implement in their own life. So how can football, parents and the child, do you think, how can we create structures where most kids aren't going to make it? Clubs make you very aware of that, by the way, when you sign up, that it's a very small percentage, but we still see a lot of young people struggling mentally when they leave the game.
I've had the pleasure of dealing with some parents who are honest with themselves first, and then they're honest with their child. And to me, that's the most important thing. So if you're not deluded, you and the child are not deluded, right? Then you will be able to be given those facts, and they are facts. They're unshakable facts, and they won't scare you. They won't scare you. So I remember when Anthony was coming to the Scholar bit, and I was talking to my friend, but I grew up in the States, and I went to university there. And one of my longest friends in life, he's the head coach at our university. I remember calling him and going, if these guys don't give him a pro, would you be interested in him? And he went, that's the stupidest question you've ever. He said, we'll have him tomorrow. Has he got the grades? I said, yeah, he's an A and B student. And he said, yeah, no brainer, Tony, we'll have him. So already I was on, my feet were on the ground, but I spoke to him as well. And I said, listen, if this doesn't happen, what do you want to do? And we talked about that healthily and with no stress, and it's possible, And he was always of like, this is the hard bit. He was always, and I believed him. He was like, it's not going to happen. Like, he was unshakable. He knew, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to be, and I'm going to get it. But if you can just come off the cloud nine and see the reality of this ruthless business, and just make sure, because it wasn't until you met me, you knew there were all these other things.
Yeah.
And they're there. They're always there. But people don't want to worry about them at all. And the longer you wait, and that thing becomes a sledgehammer to the family, it's harder to recover from. But if you're starting to, I've got people now who their child is going into the first year of sixth form, and they're asking me about America. And you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it, guys. They were going, because there's nothing here in England. And I was like, you're wrong. And when I told them all the stuff that was here, they said, I just feel so much better now. And I said, yeah, everyone wants to go to America because they watch films and it looks great and all. I said, but there's a growing industry here and it's just as good. It's even better in my opinion. But going to America is a lifestyle thing, isn't it? It's to be able to go there and say, I did that and it was great. And,
yeah, it's like an experience.
And half of the ones I've sent have stayed there and been very successful in life. So, yeah. So I can't shut that door off from people. But what I can do is, and we did it, didn't we? We said, look, there's all this you can do. And the other thing that is incredible, where parents think, that's it. If you don't get back into an academy, that's it. You can't do it. I mean, that's the biggest false conception of them all. You can even take time out. You can say, do you know what? I'm just going to have a year where I'm enjoying my football and having time with my family and friends again. And I'll go again, So even that option, which we talked about, didn't we?
Yeah.
Said, just go and do this for a year and focus on becoming the best version of you. And let's see where you're at. And none of us are trying to we're just saying, okay, that's your plan for the next year. Get on with it. You said to me last night, didn't you? You said, I'm just stepping back now. If he doesn't want to do it, he doesn't want to do it. And I would tell you that's how I would think. That's how I am. You want to look at life negatively? You want to have excuses all the time? The last coaching session I did, I told the boys the difference between reasons and excuses. I said, if you don't make it because they find out that you have one hip different than the other and it makes you run funny and that's tough and that's the way it is, that's a reason. Don't tell me you didn't make it because when you went for the trial, nobody talked to you.
Yeah. It's something for me. Like, I absolutely never blamed anyone. I remember, and I had boxing fights, didn't I, when I was in the amateurs still, and I'd get beat on like whatever split decision or even on a unanimous, and I won the fight.
Yeah.
And you and me coach would probably rage and fume because the decision was wrong.
Yeah.
And I'd still walk out with a smile on my face because I knew in my heart, I've just won that. People were watching it, know what they've seen. They've obviously seen that I'm a good fighter. So I could let that go and I'd let it go over my head because I've never really attached to people controlling my outcome.
Yeah.
I think if anyone can adopt that and actually be in self-control and self-empowered, that's like one of the best tools.
One of the best things I've ever seen in my life on that note you've just said. Do you remember the second Fury fight with Usyk?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I'm not a boxing expert. I'm like, Fury won that fight. And Fury knew it. And he said, fair dues, you won. You got the decision on the night. Da, 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 da. He didn't moan about it. He didn't slag people off or anything. But I could see in his eyes, he knew I won that fight. So you can let adversity crush you. You can use it as an excuse. You can oh well, woe is me. Or you can just say, right, I got to dust myself down. I got to get back on that horse, and I got to work harder.
Yeah.
And it usually helps if you see life as, that's not even half full, but I think it is. Right? And that helps. It really does help. And the hard work is when you've got someone who's naturally a pessimist.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be no industry for sports psychologists or mental health people or anything if everybody was an optimist. But in fact, most people are pessimists. And all my life, I've been, I would even say, obsessed with great champions in any sport. I love all sport.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of obsessed with great champions. You know, I remember when I was in high school, this hockey player came along, Wayne Gretzky. Don't know if you've ever heard of him. This guy came, he's like a Martian landing in the sport of hockey. And I was just obsessed with, like, why is he? And they even nicknamed him the Great One. And I was like, why is this guy so good and everything? So way back then, I started wondering about, it can't just be a gift. It can't be. Because nearly everyone's good at something. So it's got to be the way this guy sees everything and the way he thinks. And I've had this kind of obsession with why is Djokovic the way he is? Why was Muhammad Ali the way he was? And if you can take those principles, if you can just take those principles, they can help anybody. I, as a coach, never coached thinking I want to win this cup and this medal and all that. Never did. What I was about was, you're not a very good player. I'll make you good. You're a good player, and I'll make you very good. You're very good, I'm going to make you great. And you're great, and I'm just going to help you get to where you should be. And so that's how I see what I'm doing when I'm like on the coaching field. But these principles, if you can get the child educated to think like this, say, just worry about trying to go up another level. Just keep trying to go up another level. But you ain't going to do it if you're always looking for excuses. It's just not going to happen.
I suppose that goes like back to the question you asked about how can you manage mental and emotional health in sports? Listening to it, being a realist, isn't it? It's knowing the level that you're at. Yeah. It's really important for the parents to be on side with you to know.
I think you were okay with getting beat though, Carly. Something that she used to really embody, Tony. Like if she got beat, she was okay with it because she knew you give it all.
But the greatest boxer of all, Muhammad Ali, every time he lost 6 fights, and every time he lost, he said, "I got beat fair and square."
I always say, win, lose as well as you win.
Never saw Muhammad Ali go, "I was robbed. I should have won that fight." He said, "I got beat. I wasn't good enough." He said something that I'm going to send you, Carly, when I get home. It's a little quote he said. "What you're thinking, you're becoming."
Yeah.
So you want to be negative and think negative and look for excuses and it's always somebody else's fault. Great. I've never seen a really successful individual in anything that thinks negative all the time. Never seen it.
It just doesn't align, does it? Whatever your thoughts are, that your action then becomes that, and that becomes your life.
Yeah.
Something we're obviously really massive about, and we teach about both of the boys. But again, it's them embodying those words and actions.
Here's something for parents, right? So we know that this statistic has been there forever and won't change. And that's why, Paul, you asked me about what can the academies do. Do you know what? Just try and be them for a minute. Just turn it round and you try and be them. Okay? Why should they be worrying about, well, we've released him now. Oh, let's worry about what happens to him. Think about that, right? Because how many hours are there in a day? The parents ultimately are the ones who have to worry about that child, okay? And they need to seek knowledge. They need to seek knowledge, right? They need to not be deluded. They need to keep their feet on the ground. They need to be ready for things going wrong. And it's a bit like, you know, when you're on the flight and they're going, "Please pay attention. If this happens, the mask will drop," and right? And you see somebody on their phone. Because then they think, well, no, crash, you're never going to crash. But when somebody does crash, are you the one sat in the seat and you're ready for the crash? So educate, stay on the ground. And the worst thing, and I have to say this to all those parents out there, if you think you can go into that academy and be telling these people, you're in big trouble. Because they're in the business of, you don't want to do it our way? Bye. We'll get this guy. Oh, by the way, that guy, as soon as I open that door, there's about 1,000 of them waiting. You know, and you have to accept that. You've got to accept it and realize as much as you're special you think you are, you're not. It's a big world there, and football's the biggest sport in it. And they'll go and find what they need.
Can I ask a question then? If you are one of those parents that do like to challenge, and the reason I'm asking this is because it happened to me, didn't it, when I was boxing? I shared my opinion about a fighter's promoter because they had messed around a little bit. And, you know, I'd boxed somebody. We were given a draw. Again, I should give the decision. But again, I walked out with a smile and thought, great opportunity. We'll just go again.
It's on the Usyk undercard though, isn't it?
Usyk and Chisora undercard, yeah.
Wow.
And again, you were like, oh my God. I was like, do you know what? I know I've won. We'll get a rematch. I smiled about it. I didn't cry. You know, it would have been nice to have walked home with the Commonwealth title on the day. But we were having the rematch and again, like loads of messing around. I was still working as a paediatric nurse. So to try and juggle both, you know, it was intense as well as being a mum. And I think it was about 4 days before there was a pot that she'd pulled out. There was just loads of messing. And I had put my thoughts out there, and I was warned to take it down from social media, from Twitter, because I would get a black mark against my name and I wouldn't get an opportunity to fight on Matchroom Bills again. Yeah. It was, Dave Caldwell, her manager, was very, on the phone to my manager crying about it, and the way it was handled, I just thought, I'm going to have to be a good girl because I'm going to get a black mark against my name and not get opportunities again. Is that the case in football, would you say?
It's even more in football.
Okay.
And what I want to tell your listeners, your viewers, football is smallest world. Everyone thinks it's this big world. It's the smallest world. You would not believe. Example, I called a friend who is an academy under-18s manager. I'm trying to get a trial for a boy. And this boy's had some he really has had some extenuating circumstances. So I'm explaining all this to him. And then I go, and, when that happened, then Luke moved to that club. And he went, I know Luke. And I said, you know Luke? Yeah. He said, I said, well, if you give Luke a call, boom, problem solved. That's how small the football world is. And people think it's not small. So when you're talking to this scout on, Coldway in Netherley on a Sunday morning, and you're mouthing off, and you don't realise, but that scout might be best friends with that academy manager. It's not even the club you're interested in. It's another one.
And them scouts get about. They end up in about 6 different clubs in like 5 weeks.
You've been through it as well. Yeah. Your viewers should know you've been through it.
Yeah.
Coaches move like every year.
Yeah.
I have a database and I'm constantly updating this thing. Oh, he's gone again. This guy's now gone to Southampton. This guy's gone to Norwich. Constantly changing. And think about a virus. So when he goes now, he meets these people, and then that person meets them people. And then they go, yeah, I know him. And that is how the world of football is so small. It's all connected. And so parents who are walking around thinking, stuff them. But now you're going to talk to this guy, and you don't even know that he was the best man at his wedding. They played together. So it's, if you walk around thinking, no, it's a small world. And again, if you're going to have a negative interaction with someone in a football academy, think to yourself, well, okay, this isn't a positive thing I'm doing. This isn't everyone's happy and smiling, and this is a negative thing. It's likely going to have a negative impact. So honestly, guys, I only had 2 in it. He was in Everton's academy for 9 years.
Yeah.
I only had 2 times when I said something. That one time, and another time was literally a couple of weeks after he'd signed. He'd just signed and he'd been there a couple of weeks. And he wasn't playing. They weren't playing him, and he was getting very upset. Came home crying one day. And my wife just said, he's not going back. And I'm going, you're being emotional, calm down. He's not going back. You go and tell them. So I did. And then I realized, I was like, but there's always going to be times like this. And you can't keep going in there trying to
defend
impose yourself on, because they'll just go and get someone else.
Mm.
Yeah.
And parents need to accept that. Just accept it. You're not going to change the academy system. The only way you said, what should the academies do? Okay, go and become the head of the PFA. Come and be head of the Premier League. Become head of the FA. It's the only way you're going to have a chance of changing the academy system. It is what it is. It evolves. It keeps going. And you have to, you'll like this, Carly. I tell young players and their parents, going through an academy system is like being in the Vietnam War. And if you've ever seen Apocalypse Now and all them films, you're going through the jungle like this, and planes are dropping bombs and guys are jumping out of trees, and right? And all you got to do is just have your rifle like this, shoot on sight and keep moving forward. And the only thing in your mind is, I'm getting out of here in one piece. And if you sort of think like that in the academy system, you'll get there. It is a survival, it's
a tough
war of attrition.
Yeah.
It's a war of attrition, and to get to the end of it and finally get that promised land, it's a battle every day.
Probably the most important thing then for like emotional health and mental health is to constantly just keep coming back to that question. Is this what we want? Is this what you want as a young player? And is this like, are we prepared to continue a journey of this as a family? Because we are going to lose out on a lot altogether. So it's coming back to that question, isn't it? Rather than getting to the point of 16, not getting that scholarship and not being mentally prepared, because we've always going to we've always come in a footballer. Now what? Whereas if we ask ourselves every question, is it still what we want? Are we still ready to take these necessary steps? Because 0.01% make it, and being real is vital on this journey.
Let's even talk about like non-league, Tony. Like, because Aidan's obviously he's playing for Bootle at the minute.
Yeah.
Now, the surprise that I got after Aidan had played for Preston.
Yeah.
Thinking, well, he's played with Preston, some of the first team. He's played with some of the reserves. He's been at a high standard. He's been at Everton. He's been at Liverpool.
Yeah.
He'll
walk into that.
He'll walk into Bootle. He'll walk into Bootle.
Yeah.
Go to training. First time I went to training, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
These can play.
Yeah.
Like, these are very, very, very good players. These aren't just people that you think, oh, non-league, they're not going to be very good. These are lads who've probably been in the system who didn't quite get there. So it's a very, very competitive level to be at, even like Bootle's level. And there's obviously higher non-league levels than that. Like, what's the mentality that maybe some of these young players need to have? Because there's a lad who signed, I think, for Bootle, and he was at Everton on a 3-year pro.
Yeah.
And he's come into Bootle. Like we think, oh, because you've been at Liverpool.
I'd love to meet that lad.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to ask him, so what's going on in your head?
Yeah.
Because if you've made the mistake that a lot of parents are, oh, that's it, it's over now. Okay, so I'm going to play for Bootle, I'm going to get a job, or I'm going to play for Bootle, I'm going to go uni, whatever, and I'm stop chasing my dream. And then I'd say, really? So you were good enough to get a 3-year contract at Everton and you're just going to give up like that? Well, why don't you use this environment and get back there? It doesn't have to be with Everton. As long as you are, Anthony left Everton, he went to Wigan. He was fantastic there. Sorry, he went to Bolton first. Fantastic on loan. Then he left and went to Wigan. Fantastic. Nearly signed for AC Milan. Heartbreak. There was a health condition. And that was the biggest adversity he'd ever faced in his life, because actually his life was being threatened. And he had to overcome that. And he overcame it because what my wife and I instilled from a very young age all the way, you control everything. How you think, what you do next, it's down to you. And his attitude was right. And when we got back from Milan and his whole world had been crushed, the next morning he gets up and goes with his mates to watch Wigan play at Leeds. And when they knew he was in the crowd, there was a big ovation for him. That lad, I'd be saying to him, are you going to be the best player in this league? That's all you got to focus on. Just be the best player in this league. and what you want will start coming to you. Because if you're the best player in this league, Chester, Southport, Chorley, they're going to come. Now, can you be the best player in that league? And you know what you saw at Bootle, right? Hang on a minute. Some of these guys are men now. They've been in the non-league for 3 years. They've filled out. They're powerful. And you're this kid coming in there. Yeah. Ryan Giggs was a skinny little kid when Fergie put him on the pitch. But he had that. So I would be saying to that guy, just focus on being the best wherever you are. That's what you got to do. You have to do it in boxing, don't you? You can't just, oh, she's really good. She can have a world title fight. You've got to do the ABA or whatever it is, and then you go for you're the British champion, then you Commonwealth, and then European, and then and there's all these levels you got to climb.
I think that's what it is. Maybe with these young lads as well. When they finish the scholarship, if there's no pro waiting for them at the end, they feel then they've failed because the path is academy, scholarship, professional contract, and then, you know, they're on the way.
Yeah.
Whereas if they don't get that, they're not aware of the other options of going, you know, non-league and then rebuilding. They feel if they haven't done it by a certain age of being 18, 19, that they failed. And that's where obviously all this negative mindset comes in for them. And I think they need to become so much more aware of the path can be different for everyone and how patient and willing they are to say, well, do you know what, maybe I'm going to have to do non-league for a year or two and rebuild. Because I think a lot of them, when they don't get that initial contract, when they finish the scholarship, identity loss. And I think that's what we've witnessed, isn't it, with so many boys.
Some friends, like my friend runs, he's now set something up called JKP Coaching. So he works with young kids, play like football, just getting them ready to go into academies, if you like. And he works with kids right from the age of 4 up to like 14, 15. But he's doing like breath work with them, meditation with them, visualize with them, belief systems. He does a mindful message program with them, like a 6-week program. He's doing different programs with these young kids. So I'll connect you with him. He said he'd love to meet you. I spoke to him before this and said, obviously, that we've got you on the podcast. He basically went through a journey at Liverpool. So he got a scholar at Liverpool and then fell at the last hurdle at the age of 17, 18, just wasn't getting game time. And then within a couple of months, he was out drinking, like just completely fell off the radar, you know, didn't go back, ended up working in a bank. And then he'd come to the age of like 28, 29, 30, realised he didn't want to do what he was doing and he wanted to do something to do with football. So he's created this business now where he's giving back, helping all these young kids of different backgrounds, trying to just get them ready. And the one thing he always says to us about Aiden, isn't it? Like he says, if your kid ever moans about coaches or he's ever moaning about different things, ask him how many fingers are pointing back at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because how many kids say, oh, I didn't get there because of this coach or because of that person or because of this. He said, tell him to board off.
Yeah.
Like that's how many kids go on about it. Yeah. What are you doing about it?
Yeah.
And that's the one message he always gives to me. What are you doing about it? And how can you be better?
Carly loved it last night when I said, tell Aiden if he's not careful, he's going to end up on Could Have Been United.
Yeah.
The biggest team in the world.
Yeah.
Most players ever played for. And you go in any pub and there's one of them there. And I could have been there. But that coach, right? And they wouldn't play. And they played me out of position. And the system didn't suit me and all that, right? And every excuse in the book, and not once you say, were you always the first one out on the training pitch? Were you always the last one off it? And when everyone was having a day off, were you doing extra? And that guy will probably want to fight you because he won't admit that he could have done it a different way.
Yeah.
So we talked about non-league, and that's not the only answer. Look at Jack Harrison. He went to America and he was college player of the year, and then he's signed with Leeds. You know, it's like, how many different ways can you go from Liverpool to London? Not just in a straight line on the train. So that's how your journey is, to not just football, but any sport and anything in life. When somebody wants to be something elite, I'm talking about, because there's no problem being like everybody else.
Yeah.
If you want to be elite, that journey has infinite different paths, and it's all about, do you want it enough? Michael Jordan, who probably of any great I'm fascinated with, he said, some people want it to happen, some people wish it would happen, others make it happen. And he was rejected by his high school basketball team and ends up the greatest player of all time. It's got to be this.
Yeah.
Okay, mate. So we're coming towards the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
So just a couple of quick questions.
Yeah.
And then just get you to share a little bit about how anybody can find you, can work with you if they need.
That's the problem, because I it is a problem, because I prefer people to find me.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, Paul, is because if you have to find me, there's a good chance you really want something.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a whim. It's not a fad. They're not doing it because everyone else is doing it. So I'm not on social media. I'm not in any of this. For me, it's I have a good reputation in Merseyside, and chances are you ask somebody around the football, you'll eventually get to me. But probably the easiest way is just, go on the website, and I don't keep it up to date either because I'm too busy, but you can find me that way.
Okay, one question.
Look how we met.
Yeah. Oh, I know. That was a crazy one, wasn't it?
It's believe things, are meant to be and just align when you're aligned.
Because it's a small world.
Yeah.
Because your lad's a footballer in Merseyside, and I just happen to be helping people in Merseyside for years. So, you have a good reputation, and people will come to you. That's what I believe.
Yeah. So what's the one piece of advice then that you'd give to any parents or any young player that might be watching this platform and this podcast?
I'll do each. So for parents, look at what Carly just said. I was a nurse, I was a mother, and I'm trying to be good in this sport. That's a lot. That is a hell of a lot. So how are you being able to do that? Right? That's a mind. That's a mind, okay? And we got parents out there, they're working I don't know anyone who's not struggling to pay their bills every month and all of this. For parents, stay off cloud 9. Just stay off it, right? If you make a decision, put your child in that environment, 6 years old, I wouldn't do it. Okay, and I can back that up because I didn't do it. Right? They were after Anthony when he was 5. But if you do it, step back. If you go into Everton's academy now and ask anyone, they'll say, "Yeah, that Tony was hard. We never saw him. He was never hardly ever here. His wife used to come, and Kelly never stood and watched him train. Drop off, pick up." And I tell some parents, I go, if you do that, you got nothing to be mad about in the car on the way home. You didn't see anything. So step back, let go, let them be, and try as hard as possible to realize you're not going to change that world. You are not changing that world. It will crush you and destroy you if you let it. For the players, I'd say there's there's a formula. The biggest and most important thing is belief in themselves. That's the biggest thing. I'm mentoring a lad now, he's 22. And he was in the academy system, and at 7, 8, he was a wonder boy. And he didn't grow. He's just very frail, and he didn't make it. And he had a very turbulent life, troubled life outside of football. And I kept telling him, just focus on. If you really want this thing, you got to believe in yourself, no matter what happens. The second thing is you must never, you said the word resilience. The word quit doesn't even exist. The words give up don't exist. Woe is me doesn't exist. And third, there's an amount of work that has to be done. And if you're not going to do it with everything you've got, stop wasting everybody's time. Okay? I was talking to a coach last night, and he said, Tony, for the first half, this guy is a monster. He's unplayable. He said, and then the second half, he's terrible. And I said, okay, I'm going to have one conversation with him. And you know what I'll say to that lad. If you don't want it, if you don't want to do that work, if you want to, yeah, I'll get fit. Right? Because as you guys know, being involved in elite sport, the one thing you can always control, completely in your control, is to become a machine physically. You can become a physical machine. That is going to get you on the stage. And now you look on that stage and you saw it at Bootle. Hang on, there's other physical machines. So now you have to go in there and you have to outperform them. And you have to have that desire to want to do that. And for players out there, I'll quote Jamie Carragher, who, by the way, I used to see at Wigan. He used to just stand there. Everybody knew that was Jamie Carragher, and they all wanted to talk to him. He used to stand down in the corner on his own, and he never once said a word to his lad. And I saw him there a few times. He said when he had his testimonial, I wasn't gifted, but every training session and every game, I gave everything.
It's like hard work beats talent. It really does.
Jamie Carragher said that. And look, he didn't do too bad, did he? Now, he ain't no Steven Gerrard.
Yeah.
But he was a big success.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right, we're going to wrap it up then, yeah?
Yeah.
So, Tony, massive thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm honoured that you could invite me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I'd just like to thank our friend who's quietly sitting over there. Big up to you and to your son. Wow, what a good lad he is, just sitting there quietly.
Yes, Thomas.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's a big eye opener. And again, I think I had this on the last podcast. There was a slight shift in my own perception of maybe always blaming the system, but now they could get it right. Treat it for what it is.
Yeah.
Treat it for what it is. It's business. It's real.
Big business, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to make your journey a little bit easier when you deal with everything else. That's, the emotional side and being real with your own children. Yeah. Like that's on us as parents.
What are we going to think when we're going to live and see the first £1 million a week footballer? I mean, that's huge business, isn't it? You can't just go and do what you want and think everyone's going to do what you want. An industry paying someone £1 million a week. It's crazy.
Yeah, big topics, mate. Yeah. And I'd say the same as Carly. Definitely a big perception shift in terms of where all the onus lies. and in terms of just how I can show up as well, better as a father, with Aidan and with Thomas, I think, on their journey in sport and in life. So thank you very much, mate, for your time. And the best of luck with everything you're doing, mate.
I hope Aidan watches this podcast.
I'm sure he will.
He asked for the early access last night.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks to all your viewers and your sponsors as well.
Thank you.
I just want to say a massive thank you to our new sponsor, DBF Clothing, who are a fitness and sportswear brand who will be launching their new site on the 5th of September, and they can be found on Instagram and also the new website in September. Thank you very much for sponsoring the platform.